agree with us. It's Fury. They are taking on WILDCARD. Again, want to reiterate, it is a rejuvenated WILDCARD after their match on Sunday. However, Guz, I mean, if we're talking about WILDCARD, surely we've got to talk about the interview we had with OJ and the polar opposite kind of response from Thursday night to Sunday.
Yeah, it was an interesting one, right? And it coupled with I think even the reaction from the WILDCARD players that we saw on the cams after the game. If you had have paired that with the scoreline, I would have said you're trolling because it didn't look like they really cared that they got the win. And that's understandable to an extent. You look at the percentages, there's still a huge outside chance. And that's the real risk, I think, not only for WILDCARD, but for Fury heading into this game. There is a chance where we see the biggest mutual destruction we've probably seen in the league all year. If this game goes to OT, pretty much neither team can make it, right? So this is do or die at its finest. WILDCARD will be desperately wanting to come out of the gate strong, get a regulation win on the board, and we're looking at players like Bouncin to have another big game. He was monumental against Elevate in the final Playday. He was just absolutely destroying them on entry, alleviated a lot of pressure from the rest of the team, and I think most importantly, he unlocked a lot of rounds where WILDCARD looked very 50-50, particularly on some of the attacks where they were stalled out. Someone had to step up, make plays. He was the man of the hour, and if he can maybe replicate it here again tonight, that could unlock WILDCARD's chances of winning this game in regulation.
Surely that's almost going to be the only permutation here. You know, Xenox, maybe that's a bit harsh. Maybe it's a bit harsh to say that the only chance that WILDCARD have in this matchup is to hope for a wonder performance from someone like Bounce. I mean, hell, we could see it from Cairo, we could see it from Vinny, but I mean, is that really what we're relying on here?
You know, potentially, but I think Fury may be coming into this really as, in my opinion, the favourite team. Obviously, you guys have gone for WILDCARD, but you have to remember Fury did not play last week, so they're not quite, you know, in the back of our minds, essentially. And I haven't necessarily forgotten the start to the stage that they had. You know, they pushed Direwolves to overtime. They dismantled the Knights quite comfortably. They took down Elevate in a really big match and, you know, fell a little bit short against GG 7-5 on Playday 4, which was, well, technically a week ago. Of course, they just didn't play on the Saturday. So because they didn't play the last Playday, yeah, have they maybe sort of escaped some of your minds? Potentially. But I think then, yeah, a factor obviously is the way that WILDCARD was able to take down Elevate 7-2. But, you know, is that a one-off? In my eyes, yeah. There's not enough to suggest that that's going to be what we expect from WILDCARD, you know, here on out. Of course, remembering, though, this is WILDCARD's last Playday. If they win this, though, and they get all 3 points, it does sort of tie their best performance for APAC South at 10 points. So there's something there for WILDCARD to achieve at the very least. They're not going to get top 2, but to at least tie their best ever performance in APAC South, you'll take it. And obviously for Fury, they've got to win, keep their chances alive for top 2. They then play tied in Playday 7. Very winnable, both these games.
Is that 10 points across the entirety of APAC South, like since the beginning of last year? Is that what you're telling me from WILDCARD?
Well, if they reached, no, they reached 10 points in Stage 2 last year. So to match that their best effort in APAC South to get 10 points.
Even that is absolutely wild. And obviously, you know, this matchup it is going to go the distance, I feel. I do feel as long as WILDCARD have some kind of hope with them, that may push them along a little bit further. But, you know, I don't want to hold too long on the discussion of teams because sometimes that doesn't mean anything without the map vetoes, Guz. We can say what we want, you know, when we're looking at these matches, but when it comes down to it, this is where really, you know, it can completely decide what we're going with. And it looks like we're going to bank. Give me your thoughts on this one, just initial take.
Well, my initial gut reaction to that is that it's good for WILDCARD. Historically, at least, it's been a decent map, but then you actually look back at the history and how long ago they've played the map. It has been a long time between drinks for them. The last time they played it was in the OCS locally last stage. Obviously, the roster's now undergone some changes, so it's really hard to say if their bank is going to be as strong, perhaps you know, even stronger since then. And then in contrast, Fury as well, it's a very comfortable map for them as well. A 4-2 record throughout the year, a plus 16 round diff. And it's their most banned map against. So a lot of teams do not feel confident taking Fury to this particular map. WILDCARD had the decision between that and Oregon. So a sign that they're confident heading there. And although they're probably still the underdog despite the earlier prediction graphic, I'm backing them in to put in a good result. And like I said earlier, there's a big chance both teams knock each other out in this game, and I wouldn't be too surprised if this is that one.
Xenox, the game is ready, but I'll give you the final say. What are you thinking predictions-wise?
I think WILDCARD did well with the map veto, but I'll still back in Fury. I think for the entire body of work this stage, they should be favourites for mine.
I don't think I can disagree with that. Wildcard's final game of 2023 is on the line. And to run you through all the actions, Devin Mandy.
Thank you very much, Rob. This is a big game for both of these teams as we get to the pointy end now of Stage 3 here at APAC South. And Mandy, I'll throw one at you. Wildcard has never beaten Fury, and yet you picked Fury. So why is that?
I picked Fury because I think that Fury want this win more than Wildcard do. That's my take on it. I think the team that wants it more will come into it more prepared with that fire, and for Fury, their chances of going to the major are still there. For Wildcard, it's very, very low, and I think for Fury going into this, they're going, okay, this is do or die for us now. We have to win this one out, and that's why I've picked them in this BO1.
Well, there's no doubt for Fury, the major is within reach. They can see it just across the horizon, and this game could get them one step closer. This is a rematch of Stage 2 where these teams played on Bank. Wildcard took it 7-5. After that game, like Colas from Fury mentioned several times on the interview, that they really admired the way Wildcard played Ossa on this map, and they took that into their own gameplay, and we saw them use it in subsequent weeks. So I'm really keen to see what Fury have cooked up for such an important game.
That would be a pretty cool win if Fury are able to get that right. They learned so much from Wildcard, and they're going to beat them at their own game. How crazy would that be in this best of one? We're already pretty deep into this ban phase, Dev, and Hibana has gone off the board, so opening up some of those hatches going to the basement is made a little trickier for the side of the attack. I imagine we'll look at some lineups with hard breach charges, mini EMPs, that type of thing, to open up that basement.
For me, a big question is, will this Azami sneak through the ban phase? Azami is really powerful, especially on that top floor. And as the final ban from Wildcard goes out, it's Mozzie. Ooh. That's an unusual one. Mozzie and Valkyrie leaving Azami intact.
Fascinating little ban phase, Dev. There's a lot left on the cards for the defense. Valkyrie being taken out isn't super common on Bank these days. Mozzie as well. I can only imagine maybe a target ban from the side of Wildcard into a player in Fury, but it really doesn't strike me as anything too obvious. What I will say is that there's lots left in. The Mirror's been left in, Echo's been left in, which is a big thing for OJ, right? We see OJ play on pretty much every single one of these sites on Bank. We see him play on this one, playing inside a garage. We see him play in the top floor with that 1.5x and a long line of sights. It's a really important operator to have, especially going into that late game.
I've had a bit of a look on CGG, and it doesn't look like any of the Fury players have Mozzie as their main operator, so it could be specific to this map. I'm not entirely sure. It could be that those Mozzie pests are really good at drone denial on windows, and there's a lot of windows on this map. You might want to throw your drones in. But it is an unusual one, so I guess we'll see as the game pans out. But it's Wildcard starting on the defense first. They go down to that basement, and they brought up this really nice, very ambitious roam setup. I'm super keen to see how Fury decide to tackle this.
Love the way that they're playing this as well. They've used this castle barricade to section off a portion of this ground floor. We've got the teller's control with a rotate going to open area, and really the fall-offs are going to be through the hatches going to basement. And so Wildcard, very well thought out roam, well thought out fall-off process coming out from these roamers, already on cams early, as well as Cairo checking where the entry Fury is coming from.
And if there's anything unusual so far on the operator picks, to me, it is the Montaigne from Lycolis. He does have those hard breach charges, so he can assist with somewhat of the hard breach, particularly relevant since the Hibana is banned. But I wonder what the big shieldy boy is going to be able to do, and I would be a bit concerned if he gets too aggressive and finds himself confronted with an Oryx who could just dash him over.
Like Hollis, the one with the diffuser, though, just sitting his way inside of dirt, perhaps looking for an in onto the bomb site, reading into the fact that there is quite an extended roam going through this top floor. They need to decide whether they're going to clear it or just play the cutoffs for it, right? And that's what Fury are doing with their drone work at the moment. It's segmenting themselves on this east side of the map. Tuhan has gone completely undetected so far in this top floor. Meanwhile, Bounce in a tussle on the ground floor, but it's actually Cairo to take out the first pick of the series.
Hey, you were mentioning it's a tough call for Fury. Do they go for the roam clear? Do they go for a straight site push and then watch their flanks? It looks like they are now starting to contest this roam. Cairo's already found one, as you said, but they have managed to push back Bouncing further and further from open area. Lycolis just keeping tabs on the Warden here, but Bouncing still resides, and he's still keen to do a bit of damage. He does have an opportunity to retreat, but I9 is not going to give him that opportunity. What a double from I9 on the Ash. And the entry for Fury brings them the advantage.
And that is so characteristic for I9, isn't it? Especially in this stage where he's really come into his form here on this Fury roster. On the entry, we see him on Ashe, we see him on Iana, able to make those explosive early to mid rounds and opening up the round for Fury. Now they can start to get their in onto the side, but really, Dev, there's not a whole lot of time. There's a minute, still 2 yokai drones on the board. We've got Tuhan up. I'm not sure where he's gone. Has he fallen back onto the side? He's still on him. He's still on the bomb site. There's a lot for Fury still to deal with if they want to get this plant down.
So how much more time will spill out before Fury go for this execute? A breach now enabled. Is Lycola's going to go for a turtle plant? He does seem to be suggesting that. Hajame's got his Twitch drone in, and that plant begins to go down. Is protected so far. OJ attempts to try and deny with some impacts, but that's not going to happen. Suddenly, it's a catastrophe for WILDCARD as they have to 3 versus 4 retake with that Montaigne still up.
And how are they going to be able to get this through this Monty at the doorway? Vinny's going to go for a top floor retake alongside of Tuhan. Able to take down Hajime. Now man count has been evened out. OJ left alone on the site, but it's really on the onus of Tuhan and Vinny to get control of this ground floor.
I9 has revealed his position. Big opportunity for Tuhan now, but he's taken down. And the timer ticks away. OJ feeling hopeless. Vinny, he's helpless. 1v3 not going to happen. Even if he could get onto the diffuser now, there would not be enough time to win the round. And a great reply from Fury after a strong opening from WILDCARD. Fury start this map strong.
I like the clear that Fury went for. I think that they didn't get ambitious with their clear. They said, okay, bank, it's a big map, right? You can't dedicate all of your resources to clearing top down, the entire map, that kind of thing, because you're just going to run out of time for the execute, especially when Echo's on the board, right? So they said, let's segment just part of the east side of the map. Only get Teller's control, only get open control, and assume from there the roamers are going to fall off. That entry from I9 is really what opened up that mid-round and enabled Lycolis and enabled the Monty to be able to get into the site and get that bomb down. That's exactly what they needed without getting too ambitious with the roam clear. We may have lost Dev. I'm not sure if the stream can hear Dev or not. Dev seems to be frozen for me as well. All right, we are lost in the source here on Bank.
Yes. All I was going to say before I disconnected was that it's interesting that Fury really regarded WILDCARD and looked up to them for their Ossa play on this map. And here, with Ossa unbanned, we haven't seen Fury pick it, even for this top floor, or sorry, rather this open area and kitchen attack now. We've seen instead the Montaigne. We've seen another form of shield, and we've seen it leveraged to pretty substantial effect as well. However, not present this round.
Hajime instead has just decided to go onto the Nook, another X-Factor operator, pretty common nowadays, especially on Bank. Lots of nooks and crannies that you can sneak your way into. Seems like an east side take once again from the side of Fury. Not looking to do that top floor roam clear, immediately putting pressure on this bottom skylight stairs where Bouncin is residing, where OJ is going to deny that entry with those yokai drones looking at that double door.
Quite like this early entry from Hajime. Keep him in the back of your mind downstairs while the rest of the action begins to play on out. He is droning himself, and he does have the Nook to evade any cameras. WILDCARD fairly spread out here. Looks like 3 players on the ground floor. OJ, the only one really on site, but I've no doubt WILDCARD have the facility to retreat. I believe that hatch in Janitor is open for Cairo to retreat back. But the thing, yeah, indeed, thank you, Sky. Thing is, on the attacking side, Fury are really just prodding the bomb side, threatening WILDCARD that they may just start sending it in.
What can Fury do here? They have the hard breach of Lycolis, but actually going to send it straight in, Dev. Dark immediately entering his way into that kitchen. I9 to follow it up onto OJ.
Well, Vinny's found a double now, fortunately for him, but at least for Fury, they've taken down that dangerous Echo player and the Yokai's inactive along with it. Fury also have some site control with all 3 players now in staff room. Cairo on for a flank. You can see this information here for WILDCARD. And he goes for a vertical line, an opportunity to try and put some pressure on through the floor. His position revealed though. He goes to take the fight with the SMG-11, but he's taken down. Tuhan and Vincia now. Vinny just prone, hiding in the back of open area, but that diffuser is on the ground too. He can't be finishing him off. And he is taken out. It's all on Vinny now when I know is exactly where he is. Fury go back to back.
What a crazy approach from Fury, hey. Both these last 2 rounds, what we've seen them do is segment part of the map and sort of cut corners in a way, don't you think so? That last round, what they were able to do was, typically when you go for a bottom square push, you need to open up that quad wall, flush out that position of OJ. But before you do that, you need a roam clear, right? If there's someone on the basement, if there's someone on the top square stairs, for example, where we saw Cairo playing, that hard breach charge is going to be all for nothing. You're not going to be able to get that on there. Dark, he was able to find the timing onto OJ, running through that double door in tandem with I9, catch them off guard like that, and WILDCARD are not punishing the mistakes that Fury might be making in positioning. They're not punishing the fact that they're not roam clearing, right? WILDCARD, they were still given that real estate at top square stairs. They were giving that real estate in the basement, with Hajime being the exception down there, but they weren't able to use it. And Fury, as a result, able to cut so many corners, skip so many steps in the roam clear, and able to get straight into the bomb site.
It's funny because it feels like that's the reason why Ying often gets banned, is to prevent those really direct attacks. I often think of Direwolves, who we'll see later today. They're the team that I think of whenever someone talks about sending it straight to site, standing around, really putting that pressure on, and then seeing an opportunity going for it, often with that Ying. And yet Fury are doing it here against WILDCARD, forcing them to keep reconsidering their options, feeling that pressure, feeling insecure in their own strategies, the own preparation that they have brought into this game.
Tough for WILDCARD. They have such an extensive strat book, and the way they're spreading themselves out throughout the map is pretty ambitious, but it's just on Fury to cut down that strategy and really only hit one part that they've got a little bit of intel on. WILDCARD, they need to catch on to that quickly enough if they want to still be in the game.
We've only just started the night, but this game has already promised to deliver. Fury, the ones with a lot at stake here. I mean, WILDCARD to some degree also have a lot at stake. Was that a Twitch drone potentially that just detonated that Vulcan canister and did a bit of damage to Bouncin? Seems like it. Also prevents Cairo from retreating for now. Like this aggressive Montaigne. Such a hindrance for WILDCARD.
It's aggressive, but it's only like Hollis. There's no one just behind him right now. Cairo doesn't know that, of course, unless he's able to peek behind him just now, but the rest of Fury only just starting to make their way into that ground floor. There is still a little bit of a roam coming out from WILDCARD. We've got OJ contesting that top blue stairs. I9 is going to have to be careful sending out a grenade. A couple of my charges protecting him, and that shotgun is going to be deadly to fight. Or it's not, because I9 can just sink a nade like that.
Beautiful stuff from Fury. Once again, I9 with a perfect entry. He's going 6-0 right now. Finally gets taken down. But there is a refrag there from Dark, so all's well that ends well for Fury. And Cairo is now trapped behind the server rack. A Montaigne and 2 players on the stairs to pressure him. Vinny trying to support, but it feels like a fruitless task as Cairo is feeling that pressure. Vinny takes a bit of damage, and I mean, he can't afford to over-aggress here. Cairo's a dead man.
Fury have been able to do some pretty crazy things into this early and mid-round, Dev. I'm so impressed by the way that they've been able to read into these WILDCARD strats and cut them down like this, segment them out. They're just doing so well, like Hollis, still putting the pressure on Cairo, completely cut off by not only the hatch, but the door as well. There is no way he can fall off from the server stack.
He has to just do as much damage as possible in the meanwhile. There's no smoke on the board. OJ's been taken out, which means WILDCARD can't stall out this push. Can he take down the Monty? He can! That's the diffuser along with it! He goes for the double! Cairo's been worth his weight in gold in the server. And now it's a 2v2 as Hajime backstabs to try and salvage the round for Fury, but Tuhan can finish it off, and WILDCARD find their first round on the board.
I can't believe that's how that round ended. I was so impressed by the way that Fury were able to make their entry. It was so minimalist. It was only a dirt take, only a bottom square take. There were no WILDCARD plays to contest them there, but it was Cairo. It was all Cairo in the back of the service stack. Just one player cut off, but they couldn't make their entries work. Able to take down 2, and Tuhan just sitting in the corner of the main stairs undetected is what WILDCARD needed to claw themselves back into that round. And eventually, wow, take one away from Fury.
Phew, Mandy. It is a warm night here in Melbourne, and my studio with all my lights on. I'm starting to feel the heat, especially if these players keep giving us some exciting rounds. I might need an extra bottle of water because this is proving to be Exactly the game that we were looking for.
This is an exciting game of Bank. It feels like both these teams have matured on this map so much as well. This wildcard that we're seeing, especially the defense that we're seeing, it hasn't always come into play. Fury don't always play into the strategy that Wildcard are doing, but we can see the preparation and the work that has gone into the way that Wildcard are setting up this map so extensively, right? And so masterfully. Fury, on the other hand, we can see the way that they're playing this map is equally as masterful in its own right, although a different philosophy. They're only taking a minimalist part of the map. They're only doing the bare minimum that they need to take the control of the site, right? And it's just two clashing philosophies going into this match, and it's so much fun to watch.
And it does make me wonder how this top floor CEO bomb site is going to play out. We talked a lot in the ban phase. Well, I talked about Azami and how when Azami came out, she revolutionized this map, particularly this bomb site. She was so powerful. She hasn't been picked. Even though the Wamai is up, even though we could see that combination, those complementary operators, we're not seeing it. What's going on here? Maybe I'm behind the times. Wildcard feel like they don't need it.
Interesting takes from Wildcard.
This is some rogue stuff.
Yes, I was gonna say this is some old deep exploit stuff going on down here in the ground floor. Tuhan is being live droned in by the Yokai drone of OJ. He's able to make his way down the bottom of the square skylight. This really is a Deepek and exploit moment. Hey.
Oh, but he's been spotted.
But they've intel on him.
They have, and Tuhan is surely gonna die. Can he jump out? No, he's taken out. You can tell that Wildcard have been watching the Berlin Major. They've been watching the Major Champions row get work, but unfortunately for them, Tuhan is no Spoit and OJ is no Deepek.
Rest of Wildcard just sitting pretty on the site, having lost one of their comrades down in the ground floor. As the rest of Fury start to shape their way around the site, like Hollis is the one on those repels with those Selma charges. He can use that range hard breach to get something on the wall, but it's I9 contesting these angles early onto OJ. That 1.5x fight doesn't go in the way of the defense, and now Wildcard down 2 for the man count.
Can I just say, I9 is nuts this game. He gets another one. You say his name and he finds a frag. 9 kills and 1 death across 4 rounds. He's looking for another one, but Vinny puts another strike into that death column. Cairo knows he needs to make a play here. So tempted, picks his C4 back up. He wants to swing and find the player. He does take down BG Man, but not before the trade comes through and Fury can clean up the rest on what I9 started. That's another round on the board.
I9 and the rest of Fury are just so good at getting their elbows out in these gunfights. They know that perhaps the gunfight isn't always going to be one-sided, right? They know that it's going to be a 50-50 type gunfight, especially with that long line of sight. You're contesting like the 1.5x on I9's gun with the 1.5x on OJ's gun, right? And I9 is just so brave about it. He goes right in. Someone could swing from Janohoy. He's got no idea. He's going, okay, I'm happy to take this gunfight. Not only that, but he walks up to those angles again to take down Bouncin, who's playing inside of Meeting. And it's just the bravery on this man on the entry is unmatched by, I think, anyone in the league. Don't you think so, Dev? It is just crazy how aggressive and elbows out Fury are in this early round.
Isn't it funny that I9, formerly Napier, he was on Elevate, he was part of their ascension when they went to Six Invitational at the start of this year. He made a name for himself there for being one of the coolest guys at the event and just generally looking like an absolute badass. But he was then dropped. And everyone looked at Elevate and said, look, I9 was a great player, but clearly bringing on these 2 rookies, Mark and Mr. Punch, clearly a good idea. And clearly I9 did not fit the Elevate algorithm. And yet, here in Fury, he has been exactly what they need to rejuvenate this roster. Him and BG Man, both former Elevate players, brought on and turned Fury from a bottom team without a single point over 7 playdays in Stage 1 to now a serious major contender. And you just need to look at the scoreboard to see why. I9 is so impactful on these entries.
They do some good walking in the building.
Certainly does. And the left clicking, I've seen a lot of good left clicking this game, Mandy. I tell you what. Very good left clicking. My goodness.
No more Buxton impressions here in the server. Wildcard are going to take us over to the staff and open area bomb site. This is on the ground floor. OJ, we saw him play it before inside of Kitchen, and he just got walked in on. That is the Fury MO. Whenever you see crimes going down in the early round, it is because I9 is the culprit. And is he going to fall to that again? Not sure about that. Lycolis, he's down in the basement. He's already cutting off any flanks that might come through, putting down a Claymore in the bottom of the blue stairs, making his way up now. But I think there's a player actually sitting on the stairs above him this time. Wildcard, they are contesting. Oh, no, they're not. That is bouncing instead inside of Tells, contesting that entry early into Electrical. They're anticipating the early run-in from these Fury plays, and they're a little bit more ready for it.
Oh, Lycolis feeling the pressure of that Yokai. OJ's really been hitting the Yokais almost every single round so far. He's been playing them. He's been playing them quite aggressively. Problem for Wildcard has been sometimes he's a bit defenseless on site, and that's what happened the previous time Fury attacked this bomb site. They jumped straight into site, proned it where there were feet holes, and I believe there aren't feet holes this round, Sky. If we can see at the jump in, the printer window jump in, no feet holes this time to try and keep OJ alive longer. Interesting change in tack, but you know what? It's covered anyway. It doesn't matter if there are no feet holes because OJ's got Kairo's got vert onto it.
Not bad from Wildcard. When you open up lines of sight, they always work two ways, right? And so you need to be actively looking at them. Now Wildcard have gone for a little bit more of a minimalist type hold. They're not opening up as much. They're just holding on to the entries. Hajime, though, he's been able to sneak his way inside of Tellers. Does Bouncin? No? Oh no, Bouncin.
Bouncin is definitely a dead man here as he sprints on through and is taken out. That said, the call comes through. And a bit of a spray as well from the E1 hallway. Hajime returns fire as Lycolis looks to pinch Vinny. Fury fighting from behind. It's a 3v4. Just look at all this map control that Wildcard still have.
Not just the map control, but the diffuser is in the middle of nowhere. It's another continent, just outside of the Prince of Winter at the moment. If they want to get into the bomb site, they've really got to go for kills here. They've got to go for broken. That's exactly what Lycolis is doing, making his way into Kitchen.
That said, guess who? It's I9 knocking on the door once again, and he's got 10 kills, 11 kills. He's just unstoppable this game. A quick 1-2 punch, and Wildcard take another round loss. Fury are up 4-1.
It is absurd what we are seeing on this attack, Dev. Really, Fury, the way that they play this bank is just, it must be so frustrating to play against if you're a Wildcard on the defending side. Even though you know what they're going to do, right? You know that Fury are going to walk in the early round, in the mid round. They're going to be brave about it. What do you do if you are the side of Wildcard? You do not know where that entry is coming from. You just know that they're going to do it with the utmost confidence that you've never seen before. That is the Fury MO, right? And it is so frustrating to play against because it feels like no matter what Wildcard have done to alter their strategies, change up their setups to be a little bit less ambitious, a little bit less open, not as many lines of sights, that type of thing, it still feels like there are one or two Fury players that just slip through the cracks of the defense and are just able to take down Wildcard players. And it happens over and over and over again.
Yeah, this lurking game is just insane. Is Tuhan hiding so that they don't change their ops to bring a Thatcher? Nice catch, Sky, on the obs. I think that's what he's doing. He was hiding so that the team didn't know there was a Kaid and they wouldn't bring a Thatcher. Thing is, they did bring the Twitch anyway, so in theory they could remove the Electro Claws. And to be honest, it's Fury we're talking about. You know, they've got Monty. They might just serve a push.
Yep.
So we'll see how it pans out. But what I was going to say before, tagging on to what you were mentioning during that end of that previous round, Wildcard must be terrified right now. At the start of that last round, they took their tactical time out, they found the opening kill, they changed their strategy, and what did it get them? Nothing. Fury overcame despite it all.
Wildcard have completely changed their philosophy here, Dev, though. They're not going for a roam at all. Like you said, pointing out that Cade, they're bunkering down, and they're trying to punish the fact that Fury haven't read into the fact they have Cade to close those hatches, unless Hajime on that Twitch drone has just taken down the... Oh, not quite yet. Hasn't taken down the electrical. That's protecting Cairo for just a little bit longer. Now, Fury are going to have to look for this clear into the server with that hatch closed this time since the Cade Claw is there, and that's keeping Cairo in a much safer spot. The rest of Wildcard, they've bunkered down in these anchor positions, leaning into the late game, not wanting to get picked off by this early to mid game that Fury is so good at.
You know what? I think that's the second Twitch drone. Oh no, he's got one Twitch drone. He hit it in sight. Can we have a look, Sky? Do you mind? There we go. So he's hiding in the flame right now. He's going to look for this Electric Claw. There's players all around. He's going to try and get away, but he can't. So both Twitch drones down, and still the Electric Claw's alive.
But look at how good this wildcard read is. They've really read into the fact that Fury are still looking for these minimalist takes, only working their way down server. Oh no, BJ Man is actually able to take down Bounce, and that Electric Claw and that hatch must have gone down to a Twitch round or something like that earlier, and Fury are starting to make their way into server. That hatch is still closed for server. Cairo, if he could make his way out, maybe one of his teammates crosses over, it's still possible to play this power position, and really, there's only a minute left to go for Fury.
Yeah, Cairo did so much damage the last time he played this position. He found a double one onto the Monty and then a second one to follow. He needs to have that level of impact again because WILDCARD are already one player down. Dark's coming from dirt at the moment. The Monty giving so much information. Cairo over Pigs and Dark to be the pinch and the hammer to the anvil. Fury now in a 5v3 with server control.
5v3, but with only 40 seconds left to go and still one more smoke canister in the hand of OJ, also one C4 in the hand of Tuhan. That's something that's going to be able to deal with that Monty much better than what they had the previous attempt at this defense.
OJ needs to have his impact felt here, and look at that beautiful usage of the Capital's fire and the C4 to come through from Tuhan. That diffuser cold on the ground in the 4v2 now for Fury. They try to make their entries count, and it's I9 once again to step up for the team. Hajime to close it, and Fury go 5-1 on their attack half.
It is not every day that you see a 5-1 attack half on Bank. That is crazy, and especially in the fashion that Fury have been able to do it as well, Dev. It just feels like Fury have made WILDCARD look very, very silly. Anything that WILDCARD brought out into the server, Fury made a complete mess of it. It didn't look like the WILDCARD strat was coherent into the attack that Fury brought to it. They were so good at cutting down the map into parts that were achievable for them to take, either as a solo or as a duo entry. And being able to do that against this WILDCARD defense and not having the roamers punish those entries and be able to surround them in that mid-round was really a testament to just how good Fury are in this timing, in knowing the architecture of the map and being able to just play against how slow WILDCARD were. It's just crazy what they were able to do and make fun of them in the server.
It's been such a phenomenal game for Fury. WILDCARD, they're hot and cold. Last week, they 7-2'd Elevate, former major quarter-finalists, 6 invitational attendees. And here, they're getting slapped about by Fury, who they have beat every single time these teams have entered an official match together. All year long, it's been WILDCARD, 7-5 in Stage 1, 7-5 in Stage 2 again. And now, they're being made to look silly by a Fury who is here and ready to play, and right at the front of that, the tip of the spear, it's I9, who has been unreal.
I just want to double down on your point real quick about WILDCARD. That's the danger of going for these ambitious holds, right? When you're doing an ambitious hold, the thing that keeps it together is the teamwork and the fluidity of your comms and being on the ball with it, because it really is a more individualistic type of strategy, right? You're holding onto parts of the map by yourself. That is what an ambitious hold like that does. And if WILDCARD players are not on the board, if the comms aren't there, and if not everyone is on the same page, strategies like that really fall apart. And having WILDCARD only do an anchor type hold towards the latter half of their defense was, I just think it was such a crucial mistake and has led them to this 5-1 half. Fury are now, with that confidence off the back, are going for a really extended roam for 2 or 3 players here on this roam. BG Man is ready to fall off alongside Dark, but just look how closely they're playing together. That teamwork is flowing through this team much better than it was through the WILDCARD defense.
Yeah, despite everything, despite the aggressive hold, this is a fairly reserved way to play the roam, and BG Man's going to fall off before he's taken any damage. Dark feels a bit of pressure and then drops down the hatch. So it's a 5v5 with all Fury players on site. Not even a server extension, Mandy. And look at this, we've still got 2 hatches closed, and WILDCARD are going to have to spend time to get this map control before they even consider of executing onto the site. Mind you, when they do, 3 gas canisters from Smoke, you've got all the Vulcan canisters from Goyo, and you've got 2 impacts from Alibi to deny that plan.
This isn't a bad read from... Oh, I was going to say not a bad read from OJ. He's just completely gone through the ground floor to the basement, but is actually taken down by Lycolis, completely on the ball with this SMG-11. OJ, how could you give away your life like that? You're the hard breach. Thankfully, Vinny has still got the hard breach charges, so that wall will be open in server, but goodness gracious.
I mean, now Vinny's got to choose, because the A hatch isn't open yet, so he's got to choose to get yeah, A hatch isn't open, the server hatch isn't open, so, I mean, by far, he'd want to get both of those hatches and 2 breaches. All he's got is 1 single breach with 2 hard breach charges. This is not ideal.
Oh, and there's 3 smoke canisters and 30 seconds
Oh
as well
my
for
God.
Lycolis. I9 is able to take the fight onto Garage. It's all fallen apart here for Wildcard.
Devastating for Wildcard. Fury have to hold on. Can Cairo get the plant down? He does. And now it is a 2 versus 5. Wildcard rely on Tuhan and Vinny to hold it now with no hatch open above the site. Neither the A hatch nor the server hatch are open. As Fury begin to flood on through, look at them retaking this map control. Wildcard just rely on 2 players to hold on. Here's Tuhan, he finds 1, but it is him versus the rest of the team. He cannot hold on. Fury find match point 6-1 after 7 rounds of bank.
Abysmal, really. That's my only word for that round. Just shocking the way that end round played out, Dev. There was some mission critical stuff that Wildcard had to do there to be able to make that work, right? They had to open up that hatch inside of admin if they wanted to cover the plant going down there. They had to get server open to be able to go for that backwards plant, bait out that utility. OJ, he was down there in server early, 1 minute left to go. That's sort of enough time to start baiting out that utility. But taking the aggressive fight onto Lycolis like that, before that hatch had been opened, that's just cutting too many steps in that attack that they were trying to do, right? And Fury completely punished them for it with that confidence that they had. Not only that, but the way they played the roam, like you said earlier, was just so much more masterful than what Wildcard were doing. Both of them sitting inside of open together, falling off together, not giving their life, knowing that Wildcard are taking it nice and slow. A minute 30 on the board, that's plenty of time to be able to fall off and set yourself up for the execute. It just feels like Wildcard are not in this game. The flow is not there in this team like what we saw from them on the last Playday.
It's so scary, isn't it, when tiny, minuscule mistakes have such significant repercussions. OJ over-peaking before getting a breach on, before waiting for his teammates to support him. It gives a free kill to Fury with no repercussion. Still, they've got Goyo and Smoke left alive. Plenty of time to delay, plenty of opportunity to prevent that plant from going down. Wildcard in dire straits right now, and you can see it on their faces. This is going to be a very difficult attempt at a home run for a Wildcard. It'll have to be 5 rounds in a row to just bring it back into overtime. Even then, the chances of making the major now are next to nothing. An overtime win still is just a 2% chance that Wildcard can make the major, whereas a regulation win would have been 12%. Now that is achievable. That's something to look to. It's slim, but it's something. Now for Wildcard, even if you manage to win 7 rounds in a row and take this 8-6, yeah, that'd be a great confidence booster, but would mean jack all in the grand context of the major.
Look, we've said a lot of doom and gloom onto Wildcard, but I want to put the spotlight onto Fury for a sector, because these guys have done really amazing today, right? The bank that they've shown us is not the bank that we saw in Stage 1. It's not even the bank that we saw in Stage 2. The confidence that these guys have got is absolutely absurd the way they're playing this. Even a Yokai drone inside of that ATM's window to help I9 jump out on any players on the rappel. How crazy is that?
Well, at least for Wildcard, Cairo managed to spot it with his Twitch drone and take it down, so that's a big piece of utility gone early in one of the Yokai drones. Lycolis does have another one still in pocket, though he might not be able to throw it out before he gets taken down. Indeed, that's what happens. So no more Yokai drones, and a great early pick and a great early start for Wildcard.
Wildcard taking a very different philosophy to attack this bomb site compared to what Fury did. We've got a player inside of the ground floor. Let's bounce in inside of open as well, anticipating that the Fury players may be roaming in this ground floor, and that's exactly what he's done in that cutoff. Dark is going to try and contest him with that bait and switch, a impact to go onto the wall, but Bouncin is not taken away by that. He's just moved himself into a very safe position to deal with this roam.
Bit of a game of chicken between Dark and Bouncin here, but realistically, Bouncin has no need to move, and listen to that. The logic bomb's gone and detonated. Sound cue. Dark hasn't had a chance to hang up his phone. Cheeky little update came out a day or two ago. Dockerby's calls now affect players in support mode. So if they're dead, they still can't look at cams.
But what have the rest of Wildcard been able to do? They are going for this lobby-sided take, not accounting for the roam of Dark. No! He misses all the shots, though, and 2-1 is actually able to take one down on the repels. What a chaotic round this has been, Dev.
Dark, come on, you got to redeem yourself, man. You sprayed about 2 clips and haven't landed a single bullet. Oh, no, he's gone. All on I9, the man of the hour. He's got 14 kills and a 7.0 KD. But can he ace up? No, it's not happening. Well, there you go, Wildcard. Bat time you showed up. It's flawless, but you're going to need 4 more of them in a row to push OT.
This series has got you going completely Australian, hasn't it?
I'm having a great time. We're just sitting here having a yarn. It's going bonzo, you know?
Oh, goodness gracious. Wildcard, that time, they look for a lobby take, and that was completely different to the take that Fury went for when they went for that top floor attack, right? They went, okay, there might be people roaming in the ground floor, there might be people playing inside of lounge, looking to jump out. Let's not even do a square take. We know that Fury are going to jump out of windows. We know they're going to go for crazy stuff like that, right? So by segmenting out the lobby and by putting Bouncin in that ground floor, it means that they're already actively there to take the gunfights from inside the building. They can already predict the types of engagements that they need to have, and making their way up the stairs is really the only choke point that they had to go through to make that work. And knowing how aggressive the Fury plays were, yeah, they gave them those picks easily. They gave them those engagements really early on in the round. Wildcard, they're able to take that out, and I just think it's a really masterful way to play into the playstyle of Fury.
10 seconds remaining.
Yeah, but will it work moving on to these other bomb sites? For Fury, that downstairs CCTV lockers still locked for one more round. And so instead of the top floor, they will try CCTV, open area and staff room. Will Wildcard be able to adopt a similar strategy this time? It looks like Bouncin is once again doing what Bouncin is known for. I mean, he used to do this on Chiefs all the time. Get in the building nice and early and just lurk somewhere. Wait for a defender to try and rotate, and you'll get some freebies.
I don't mind this from Bouncin. I like that he's trying to get this map control, anticipating that there may be some Fury plays he's going to be able to catch off guard. He's just made his way through the entire basement all by himself, now up the main stairs, and there is indeed a Fury play that he's going to catch off guard inside of elevator, trying to take that momentum into the bomb side. Is unable to find anyone, but there we go. Wildcard with the man count once again.
A big player to take down too, I9. The one who's been ruthless so far. A lot less afraid now that you know that the rest of the team has, 12, 20 kills between them, whereas I9's got 14, all on his own some. Bouncin looking to potentially enable another cheeky play. I like that Fury's gone and barricade a lot of these doors, but Bouncin's the perfect operator for it, isn't he? The sledge takes him down in one easy hit.
These castle barricades are giving a lot of real estate to Wildcard at the bottom of these square stairs. Blocking off that double door is allowing the hard breach to get into this bottom square, right? Bouncin is here to cover. He's actually going to open up this castle barricade as well to make sure that there's no one in tellers that will be able to contest them. There is still someone in the form of Castle. Dark is trying to look for the peek onto Bouncin. A grenade goes out, wrong timing, and Dark is able to take down Bouncin. Maybe getting too ambitious with this entry. Oh no, he's able to take down another, but thankfully Cairo is there for the trade.
Yeah, this has been real rough for Wildcard. Even though they started strong, they've lost 3 players and only found 1 in return. Thankfully, Cairo was able to trade that player in archives, but just look at the rest of the Fury guys. They're all on site, all of them, just playing an easy crossfire with each other. And for Wildcard, I mean, yes, they could in theory get a breach on, but there's so many things that Fury still have going for them that Wildcard just can't boast for themselves, and most namely of which, it's an extra player up.
Well, I think it's just a bit late to get a breach on, right? When they had to get a breach on was when those castle barricades were closed and when they weren't being contested. Like, Hollis can even get the read on someone playing inside of that melee hole. See, there we go. OJ now only just starting to get this open, knowing there was no one in tellers, but really, that could have gone down many, many seconds ago when it was much safer to do so. Now he's in a 1 versus 3. There's going to be no chance in hell that he's able to get this one.
Yeah, well, looks like Fury are going to lock it in with a Bing-chilling 7-2. Easy game through and through for Fury. And they take a dominant win over Wildcard. Resting assured, Thailand has still got it.
Wow, what a masterful game of Bank from Fury. It just felt like they were there through and through. Every single step